All right, hey folks, how we doing today? Give me a second here. I'm going to check my signal. I'm going to be live here. Well, we're live now, but instead of having a countdown, I'm yammering at you while I'm pressing buttons. I guess if I had a more professional operation, I'd have a countdown timer with some snazzy music to entertain you, saying we'll be starting soon. But I can just tell you myself, we're going to be starting soon.
So, hold on real quick. Hold on, I've got an email I need to address.
Let's see. I am pressing, but okay. Sorry, I had a clerical thing I had to do there. But yeah, normally you'd see like a countdown timer. We'll be starting soon, and what most people do while that's happening in the background is they're loading social media links and stuff like that for where the video goes live. But I'm not that sophisticated, so I'm just mutting it out in front of you here live on stream. But it takes less than a minute, so I mean, if you're impatient, you can skip ahead, and I'll catch you on after the bump. But my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I'm creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm a huge Eberron enthusiast, so I've been using Eberron as my homebrew campaign since 2004. I've been a DM in general since 1987. And I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2008. But I've never published an adventure. So in homage to Eberron, that's my homebrew setting of choice. So that's where I'm going to create my adventure. Crystals in a Bar. You can see it here on screen. It is we're fighting demons and undead and necromancer, like Emerald Claw types in the Carnwood of Karnath and the continent of Corvair. And I think that's, we're done with my postings. So hold on, let me fix my camera here and there. And that's all set up, and there we go. No, hold on. Still making adjustments. Beep, beep, beep. There we are. Okay, now we're active. Now I'll fix my screen and we're going to get to work now. So, but if you find today's session fun, like, subscribe. Holy Hannah, new subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate folks' interest in the stuff that I'm doing here. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. This is episode 423. Ooh, crap, I'm going to have to rename. Yeah, Artifacts. That's what we're working on now, Artifact Art. And here's the full playlist of all 423 episodes. Here's my Discord community. You can support me on Patreon if you want. Here's a stack of books that I've already created on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews, so check them out if you want. And we made this book cover back around episode 40, so you can check that out if you want to wade your way through the backlog. And we're just going to do some more artwork today. So last week, and a couple weeks before that, we were working on and finally finished this Undead Army artwork that we created. That's under the command of a Cyclopsan Ugoloth, Ultraloth, that the Ugoloth control the plane of Mabara. It's like that's their home world. They're the top demons there. It's also the realm of undeath. So these dudes can command armies of undead to attack the physical world. So we have to watch out for that stuff as people. That's one of the reasons why we don't want our characters to fail, so that we can be sure that stuff like this doesn't happen. But beyond that, we're looking at the artifacts of the planes. So the Eye of Mabar is made. Each one of these artifacts is created in their plane of origin, and have a ritual that can be used to create a manifest zone. This adventure, Crystals of Mabar, is themed around using the Eye of Mabar to create a manifest zone to the plane of Mabar, the Endless Night. And the Emerald Claw is using it to exploit the terraforming that happens inside of this powerful manifest zone that they create and then amplify, so that it doesn't just co-terminate, but eventually completely replaces Eberron, the world of Eberron, and becomes basically a portal directly into Mabar that armies can march out of and destroy the multiverse. So cheers to that. But in that spirit, one of the things. Well, here you go. Each artifact has unique powers as described in the DMG, and can stabilize a manifest zone with a ritual similar to the one used by the Emerald Claw. unique to each artifact and plane. Other organizations and powerful individuals may attempt to use these artifacts to attain similar power as with the Eye, including the characters if they can obtain them. So the 12 wish to control them for power and resources. Aether Academy would value studying these artifacts. The Church of the Silver Flame quests to destroy them, and the Gatekeeper Druids wish to use them to protect the world. So there's a lot of different factions that are interested both in the Eye that this adventure takes place in, and as well as the rest of these artifacts that can then create a chain of adventures if the DM wants to take this further. So this is a 7th, 8th level character adventure, Eye of Mabar. So if we were 8th level, then 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and by 20th level, if you made each one of these quests worth a level in your character's campaign, you can go from 8th to 20th level following this theme. And at 20th level, your characters could perhaps have all 13 artifacts and able to use all of them to create different manifest zones as they wish. And as a 20th level campaign, like campaign topper, to close out the campaign, your characters would potentially be able to reshape the multiverse, or like, you know, bring Dalcor back if you wanted. Like, we haven't seen those guys in a couple a couple dozen thousand years. We should bring back the Nightmare Demons. Let's play in that space again. Like, these are decisions that your characters can make. So in that spirit, we're going to build these things. So I've got 12 artifacts here. And the scales of Donvi, the perfect order. So you use these scales with ritual to create a manifest zone. The Carillon of Dalcor. Carillon is like a windpipe, like in cathedrals, but it has bells instead of windpipes. So it's cacophonous in that sense. The Lantern of Duluth. Duluth, the Shadowfell. It's a black light. Pardon the pun. The Sextant of Fernia, the Sea of Fire. It's kind of punny having a sextant, you know, to navigate the realms of fire. So just being a little punny there. The Parasol of Irion, the Eternal Day. Well, having an umbrella to keep yourself from burning in the Eternal Day. That's what that's all about. Like, for example, Mabar, the Endless Night, that it's an eye. Humans can't see in the night, so that's where the pun with the Endless Night and the Eye of Mabar comes from. So all these things are either riffing off of or leaning into tropes or puns of the different planes. So the Cauldron of Kinrith, the churning chaos. So the cauldron and a churning chaos is kind of, you know, on the nose, but it's a fun theme. Get your hags here, right? The Seed of Lamania, the Twilight Forest. So we're sprouting a seed as part of the Manifest Zone ritual. So you plant the seed and it grows, and the Manifest Zone grows with it. The Kiln of Risia, the Plane of Ice. So like having a frozen fire kiln. That's just a fun, like, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a good deconstruction idea of the elements. Hey, how you doing, Steve? Let's see. The Banner of Shavareth, the battleground. So we'll put the symbol of Shavareth on here. But it's raise your flags during war. And the Trumpet of Valenus, the Feywild. It's just kind of like a hunter's horn. Oh, I skipped the flute. The Flute of Sarania, the Azure Sky. It's a wind instrument, sky and wind instrument. It's just kind of on the nose. The Crown of Zoriat, the Realm of Madness. You kind of like Crown of Madness, the spell. So that's where these ideas are coming from. So today we're just going to do sketchy stuff. So we're going to just detail the line work. And so I'm going to go here, and we're going to go with one. I forget the name of these things. The Scales of Donvi, thank you. 1 Scales of Donvi. There. So we create the folder here for the illustration, And so we're going to do this for each one of these. Today I'm just settling into the piece. We did these sketches a while, like a month ago or so. So I'm just going to kind of settle into the process and just go with some black line art here. Just getting ourselves into a circle. Just some real light, easy going. Now we're just going to do some sketching. So the way that we do it, comic book style, is we do the line art and then we put the color layer underneath the line art, and then we fuse the two together for the detail. Line art, color art, then we do form and shadow lighting on the color layer, and then we bond the line art to the color layer, and then we do detail work and blend the line art into the color piece. We did that process here and here. So this is how it can turn out. All this started off as line art. If you checked out the last 20 episodes, 30 episodes of me doing this, this is the same process. But we're going to do that for all these artifacts over here. So I guess without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Since this is a symmetrical object, it's kind of basic. I don't have to. I can basically do a symmetrical mirror for this. So we're at a pixel size. I think pixel size of 3. Let's go with 4. Pixel size 3 is probably 4 for the base frame. Let's do that. So I'm going to just take a center line here. I'm going to drop this down even further. I have this here as just a loose indication of how much space each one of these things are supposed to occupy. And, we can adjust as needed. But I'm going to go to here, here, and here. So I don't have to worry about symmetry because I'm just going to flip reverse and duplicate the layer. So I only need to really get it right once. And then I can just mirror whatever I like better, but I can do both sides to allow me to flip back and forth between which one I like better. So we're going to start here like this and build this out. So between yesterday, since Friday, I've gotten another 4 pages done in the layouts. So we're down to about 15 pages left to go. And then we'll be done doing layouts, and then we can start doing artwork and layout, like all the art pieces. We can do art pieces not only in the mornings like this, but also in the evenings. So I can work on multiple pieces. I can move for, like if I get in a tear here, but I run out of time this morning. Once these layouts are done, I can start. I can continue working on that piece in the evenings, and then come back around in the morning. And it's like, hey, here's the progress that we made last night. Let's continue moving forward. Or I can work on other pieces in the evening, and then just collapse time frames for having more art across more pieces done more quickly. We'll see how it's supposed to pan out. I'm going to lessen this angle here so that fits in nicely like that. Be like that. I'm going to get rid of the center point here. Just kind of messing around with stuff. I'm not sure how anything's supposed to turn out. But that's most of the fun with doing this kind of artwork is allowing life to take it where it wants to go and do what it does. And I've already established that we have a 4-point base font for our line art, so I can always just return to that. Let's just drop this in here. Connecting tissue here. Donvi. Tell me about you, Donvi. Donvi, the perfect order. So scale makes sense for order, you know, balance and stuff. Let's see. Eberron, Plane of Donvi. Let's look up some comments about all the planes of Eberron have stories to tell and things. Eberron, I love you. All right. Donvi, basic information. Called the perfect order as a manifestation of commercials. All things in Donvi live in perfect harmony, born of order. Modron activity incoming. Formians, that makes sense. Donvi is a plane of order where clearly defined props are farmed by its Formian inhabitants. Battalions of angels patrol the sky of Donvi and welcome planar travelers and merchants. Inhabitants don't care about the inhabitants. Manifest Zone Formian hives have been found in the jungles of Zindrik, which implies the existence of manifest zones on the Lost Continents. While superstitions say that Eberron is more stable when Donvi is coterminous, there have been no specific evidence of this being true, though I like that idea. Just as there is no effect when Donvi is coterminous, there is no effect when Donvi is remote. And has suggested that on his website that Donvi incorporates all aspects of law and order into the plane, and that its inhabitants may therefore include devils. Okay, that's nice and loose. Let's see. Color associated with Donvi, the perfect order. It could definitely have a Fairhaven feel. Let's see. In my mind, the perfect order should be entirely as diverse as Shevarith with the same dichotomy. World of Eberron. The perfect order, similar to the respect. I'm just doing some quick field research here. Let's see. Excuse me for a second. I've got some clerical stuff going on here on my phone with me. There we go. Let's see. Strongly law aligned. Enhancement magic. Donvi inhabitants. Formian workers. Zalukat. Asimatic creatures. Justicars. Visilites. Terminus. And okay, there's nothing going on there. So, but we'll probably use like a we'll probably go with like a silver metal. Just silver feels like a good law embodying sort of metal. Although I guess you could argue mithril is similar. I don't know if there's a color difference between mithril and silver, honestly. Well, hey Drifts, what's going on? Hey, we're doing artifact artwork for Eberron today. I have a whole section dedicated to the eye itself. But for all these other artifacts, they're just honorable mentions. Basically, plot hook ideas. This isn't intrinsic or even necessary for the adventure at all. It's just this back section of the book is how to expand the campaign, how to expand the adventure if you want to do more stuff with the scenario in Eye of Mabar, Crystals of Mabar, and beyond the adventure itself. How can you incorporate the Crystals of Mabar into a larger campaign overall? So that's what this page is about. Like additional threats and ways to expand the campaign beyond where it's at. If I want to do something like that. I don't have to murder myself on these details, honestly. But I might anyway. There we go. I had a horrible sleep last night. There's a change happening inside me, an alchemical change of some sort. I was in a car accident many years ago, and my body has decided to start releasing my joints from being locked up as a result of it. That's a pretty amazing experience for me. Oh, it does it right on. Kind of Biesh-ish. But yeah, these are all different artifacts that create manifest zones to their corresponding planes, which that was where I walked. That's how we started the adventure. That's how we started today's conversation with walking through each of the artifacts. But we don't detail them here. But each artifact has a ritual that can be performed with its use. While using the artifact, you can perform a ritual, and in doing so, you create a manifest zone to the plane of origin related to that artifact. So in the instance of these scales, this scale is it's made in the plane of Donvi, and I don't know what the ritual would be. Some sort of weighing, measuring, balancing of the material in the manifest zone, perhaps. I didn't feel a need to grind out those details specifically because it's just a suggestion, you know. It's like, hey, if you like this idea, here's the ritual that we have up above in the items and oddities section. We go in all the unique magic items, the artifact, the ritual involved with it, as well as specifically the item of art, but you can use that as a frame of reference to create additional rituals with other artifacts if you decide to take your campaign in that direction. But it could be to hell with it. I want to go fight halflings in the Talenta Plains, Wild West style, and then you don't never have to worry about these artifacts. But know that if you wanted to, they could be in the background. That could rise up at any time, become a point of contention. Like you could run. Since this is an 7th, 8th level adventure, your characters are probably going to be around 9th level when you're done. And you could go like 6 or 7 levels without these ideas cropping up, and then suddenly they become the focus of the campaign. Depends on it just depends on what methods you as a DM use to thread together different ideas into a campaign format. But it's 13 items in a MacGuffin quest is pretty extensive. And that could be you're gonna want to have a session 0 with your team before you make a commitment like that. Make sure that they're on board with fetch questing so much shit for such a long time. It's like an entire like 12 levels of your character's career spent on collecting artifacts to save the multiverse from itself is. It's a big ask unless you've got a campaign, unless you have a team that's comfortable drilling through 20 level campaigns. The chance of attrition is pretty high there, and you'll have to make sure that you're weaving in other sort of plot elements and sideline stories to go along with this fetch quest idea, because fetch quests can get pretty boring. So you want to make sure that you're incorporating a lot of different types of elements. As when I was growing up and learning how to DM back in the 80s and 90s, our team had a severe aversion towards fetch quests. They often felt contrived and very railroady. So we largely resented them, but if you weren't spelling out specifically that you're running a fetch quest, then you could potentially just get away with it. I'm going to take this to, let's go to here. Oops. Let's break here and here. I'll make this vertical here. I'm going to take this scale here. Probably means I want to condense. Where can I condense this? Along this tip here. If we transform, I can pull this in here. It's like I could duplicate it. Like I can duplicate this layer here, right? Transform. Flip horizontally. That becomes my balance point. So see, I can have good-looking scales and balance using proper mechanics, and have it look pretty good. So it's gonna work out. What's up? What's a manifest zone? Oh, you're not familiar with the Eberron campaign setting. In Eberron, there's 13. Like the world of Eberron has a number of afterlives or other planes of existence. There's 13 of them. They all basically like embody the spirit of different ideas. Like Mabar, the Endless Night, is the idea of darkness, terror, undead, and demons. So like if you go to Mabar, that's the kind of amusement ride you're getting on board for, fighting demons and being terrorized and running around in the darkness a lot. So when a manifest zone, since these planes are in orbit around the world of Eberron, kind of like moons orbit the planet, occasionally they overlap. The two planes pass through, like Eberron. These alternate planes of existence pass through Eberron, and at points where you can notice those planes touching, it's called a manifest zone. And inside of that manifest zone, the world of Eberron takes on properties of whatever plane is touching it. And there's a big cosmic chart, as it were, a non-visual cosmic chart that the sect of druids use called gatekeepers. They keep an eye on on what the actual orbits of these different planes are and how they interact with the planet. And so when you're using these rituals, you're basically forcing these planes to fall out of timing with when they're supposed to be in proximity to the world. And so it's creating disharmony across the multiverse. But the stronger the manifest zone is, the more the properties of the coterminating plane become. So a very strong, an intensely strong plane can act as a portal that directly opens up into that alternate reality. And in the Crystals of Mabar adventure, the character, the bad guys, are specifically creating a powerful manifest zone so they can effectively terraform the environment, because there's a lot of exotic materials that grow in these other planes of existence. And in the case of Mabaran crystals, they can be used as spell components for darkness and undead rituals. So instead of having to spend hundreds of gold on rubies that you put on the eyes of dead creatures to have them rise as undead, you could instead sprinkle some of the soil on their bodies, this Mabar soil, and that will animate their bodies with the spell, which is, it's literally dirt cheap if you can get the stuff. If you don't have access to it, then you have to go to the plane of Mabar yourself, which is like 7th level magic, to actually be able to do it. So it's incredibly expensive outside of a manifest zone. So the idea in this adventure is, well, we can create our own manifest zone. Let's just farm materials, as much material as we can, and if we can permanize and stabilize this thing, then we've got basically a mine where we can harvest spell components from, literally just growing on the ground. We just scrape it up and process it. So there's a bunch of mage rite alchemists in the adventure that are processing materials. They've been hired to experiment with these exotic materials to create potions and different types of alchemical things that the characters can lean into. Like if the characters want to take control of this place and sustain the manifest zone, okay, you'll be fighting demons and stuff that arrive from the outer planes, but you can use this as a money grab, which is what the Emerald Claw was doing, the cultists that created the zone in the first place. They were doing this to acquire power and reputation among the evil spellcasting community. They become a resource, a go-to, like a drug hookup, you know? Hey, I've got some soil for you. You want some soil? But if you're a necromancer that's used to raising armies of undead to attack enemies in the field of battle, and suddenly you find yourself outlawed because they decided that necromancy is in fact bad, and now that the war is over, we don't need that resource, so you're a troublesome problem, Mr. Necromancer. You're now a war criminal, and we will arrest you and potentially kill you for doing your duties in the nation of Karnath to help win the last war. So a lot of these guys are pretty angry about that switch in politics. And so the Cult of the Emerald Claw had to go underground and is now mainly terrorist cell groups attempting to use whatever knowledge they had acquired during the last war to secure their own power and security so they aren't hunted while still performing necromantic rituals that are understandably illegal. But manifest zones are kind of regional. So the Plain of Mabar naturally is just something about Karnath. It's just that's where they show up. So naturally, the culture of Karnath is ultra aware of undead and darkness. Like that's part of their national identity, is worrying about this shit. So when it came to a war that lasted hundreds of years, and they're looking for alternatives to try to win the conflict, getting into necromancy just was a natural evolution of their military-industrial complex. Well, we keep losing soldiers. Let's keep bringing them back, so that we don't have to worry about, growing soldiers. We can just raise them up and harvest them from the battlefield and use our enemies' corpses against them if we can secure the battlefield. So a lot of times, the Karnathi during war are just fighting for a neutral victory. They aren't necessarily looking to crush their enemy. They, at worst, want to tie, because they can just start raising the enemies and eventually overcome their opponents in the battlefield because they're making undead. And so if it was 5-on-5, it becomes 4-on-6, and then 7-on-3, then 8-on, and then now there's no one left but Karnath. So I'm really rambling. I haven't gotten good sleep. So this is how I am when I don't get good sleep. So cheers. But yeah, my body has been spending this Sunday night and last night. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep. My body is just releasing all of this toxin that I've been holding inside of my body for decades now. And I guess my body is just tired of holding it, and it wants to get rid of it now. And it does it when I lay down to go to sleep. It's like, oh, you're relaxing, great. And then it starts unlocking things, and it's torturous. When I got hit by a truck, like literally I was crossing the street. I didn't know there was a truck coming because I'm fucking blind, and the driver never imagined that I'd walk out in front of them because they didn't know I was blind. So he was going 50, and I was on my feet, and I was crossing the road, without a light, and I didn't see him. Sky blue truck. Apparently, it was a sky blue truck coming down off of a hill with the sun at its back in the afternoon. I had no chance. So about 100 feet away from me, he started hitting the brakes at 50 miles per hour, hit me, threw me another 80 feet into a ditch. I landed on my head, cracked that open, and was bleeding out. Here's the fun part. The gallows Dana at the time watched it happen, and I blacked out immediately. I didn't even hear the tires screeching. It's just she was like, "Hey, Phil," like really worried, like, "Phil, you're walking out into traffic. Be careful." And I didn't understand what the problem was, so I stopped in the middle of the road and turned to ask her what's going on, and that's when I got hit. And so I never saw it coming. And I just woke up on the pavement with my head split open, with paramedics peeling my clothing off. So what ends up happening is, when I got hit by that truck, there was paramedics that were coming up the street. Somebody had called in. They thought they had a heart attack, but it was actually just indigestion. So they had an empty carriage in their ambulance. They literally saw me get hit, and they just pulled over and picked me up off the road and took me to the hospital. It was about half a mile away to the hospital. So I lost 2 pints of blood out of my head by the time they got me to the hospital, and they just started pumping new blood into me and put a bunch of sutures in the back of my head. And nothing was broken. I took the impact on my hip. It threw me up onto the hood. Apparently my shoulder tore off one of this guy's windshield wipers before I got launched off of his hood into a ditch. So I'm waking up with these guys cutting my clothing. I'm like, what the fuck happened? They're like, you got hit. You've been in an accident. And I'm like, great. I can feel my toes. I can wiggle them. Like, good. Don't do anything. And they started shearing my clothing off and tossed me into the truck. The gal I was with at the time, poor girl, she had to witness all of this. And so they put me in the hospital. I didn't have any insurance. So they kept me overnight to make sure I was okay. And I was 22 at the time. I was out of college. I was on my own, and I hadn't gotten any insurance for myself. So they basically I wrote it off and sent me back on the road the next day. I had a scraped elbow and my knee was scraped, but the impact on my hip drove in and compacted a lot of the tissue inside of my hip. Inside of my hips and my pelvis. So that was 27 years, it'll be 28 years ago in October that happened. And my body is just, it's tired. I have to hold up like all the connective tissue, like basically from my armpit all the way down to my knee is holding the structure together. And it's not holding it because it's going to fall apart. Is holding it apparently because I've never actually dealt with the trauma of being impacted like that. So my body has been holding the terror of that event from my mind, and it's starting to leak the information back in. It's like we think it's healed enough that you can handle this. So now I can remember the bumper. I can remember the sound of the wheels. I can't remember the actual. I can't remember the impact of me hitting the ground, but more and more pieces of the event are starting to float back into my consciousness as my body releases. Like a bunch of connective tissue melted last night inside of my hip, and it felt like poison flowing through my body because it was such old scar tissue that my body was basically reclaiming. And so I had to break the material down, and it released all the gunky toxin into my body, and I could feel it. I could feel it in my liver and in my kidneys. Meanwhile, there's all this weird energy that's surging through my heart and going through my body. It was crazy. It was crazy shit. So I had that Sunday night, and unexpectedly I had it again last night. Sometimes healing events like that happen to me overnight, and I get shit sleep, I get through my day, and then I crash hard the next day. But this time I was dealing with that again. Sorry, I'm rambling about myself a lot, but this is where a lot of like my mindset towards the world comes from. That all the worst events, all the great events in our life are going to happen to us whether we like it or not. And from this is proven to me that you will literally not see it coming. You're going to end up inside of an event that is going to change you forever. And you're just going to be a passenger during that event. And it's not your job to fix anything. It's not your job to judge yourself for how you acted or whatever. You're being delivered an experience. And it's your job to simply survive that experience, or to not even necessarily survive it, God bless, but just to witness the event. You are the witness of this possibility. And it's your reality that has drawn the straw of being the one that can recount how this feels. Different horrible things or amazing things that happen to people. It's all part of a potential array of human experiences that we have to, as a species, get used to and not take personally. We can afford to be a little bit more utilitarian about our presence here, that it's here to collect experiences, and it doesn't matter if your experiences are good or bad. It's what's been put on your docket to help resolve for the human collective. And when we return to the afterlife, shed our mortal shell, we get to see how well we're ranked on the top performance. And if we like this, if that's a personal best score, then cheers, let's have a beer, and then before you jump back in. But if you're like, I could have ran that differently, then you're compelled to run the world again. And that's where deja vu comes from, is you running the same adventure more than once, trying to speed run or get a top score in the video game of our life. You can agree or disagree with that if you want, but that's the story that resonates with me most, considering the life experience that I've had. Yeah, see that. So, yeah. Yeah, Eberron's a really cool campaign. And my life is a little ridiculous. It is born of miracles. The more I release my own control and listen to my heart and my intuition, the more miraculous events occur in my life. And sometimes I have to pinch myself at the coincidences. One of my favorite ones is like when there's a radio playing and I'm having a conversation with somebody, and then I'll be talking, and at some point whatever it is that I'm saying lines up exactly with what somebody else, like somebody on the radio, is saying. Like, they could be talking about the weather on the radio, and I could be talking about a TV show that I watch. So if I'm watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they might say it's going to be a sunny day here, and we'll both say sunny at the same time. Completely serendipitous events, but that's like a very simple example. Some of my more favorite examples is my muse tells me to get up and start walking without telling me where I'm supposed to walk, why, or for how long. Just get off of your ass and go. So I'll get off my ass and I'll go. The last time I did that was in downtown Seattle. It's been a couple years since I've had this level of experience, but this was not an unusual sort of thing that would happen to a Phil for a while. I got up. I left my desk in the middle of a shift. It wasn't lunchtime. I just decided to leave. I figured no one's looking. I'm just going to leave. So I left. And so I walk out onto the street. I walk down to the nearest corner, and I don't know why I'm there. So I stand there for a minute and watch the traffic go by. And this little Hawaiian gal walks up to me, and she and she said, my name is Barbie. I'm from Hawaii. She asked me if it was okay that I bothered her, if she could talk to me for a second. I was like, of course, I have no idea why I'm here. Obviously, it's to talk to you. And she said, oh, okay. So she starts talking to me. She says, my name is Barbie. I'm from Hawaii. I'm here in Seattle at the hospital because I had a brain tumor. And I've been bedridden for 9 months, but today they said the tumor is completely gone and I can leave. This is the first time I've gotten out of bed in months. And I felt compelled to take a walk. And I'm the first person that she bumped into. So she's like, I felt compelled. I had to share this with you, but my life is saved. I get to go home to my family, and I get to live out the rest of my life. It's over for me. And I'm like, that is amazing. And she started crying, and we hugged for a while. And I was apparently who she needed to be with at that moment. And I didn't know that was planned for me, but I got to be I got to be the person that witnessed her relief of not being dead. And that was pretty amazing. But I'll end up like I'll take a walk, and I'll end up in front of a house where a bunch of people I know are at someone, like, I didn't know you lived here. Like, I'll walk for 4 or 5 miles and just end up in the middle of some place, and it's like, oh my god, this is where John lives. They're like, Phil, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. Well, we're having a party. Come in. I'm like, okay, can someone give me a ride home later? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. It's just crazy shit like that. It's like it's a little insane. My life is. I think my life is as extraordinary for my own, because I'm the one that's living it. So obviously I think this is extraordinary, but I am hardwired at this point to find the miraculous, to find those hidden things that happen. And the more often I see them, the more motivated I am to find them. And it's not like I'm crazy. It's like the people on the radio really say these things. I really did get hugged by a Hawaiian Barbie. It's intense and it's crazy. So I am compelled to believe that the most miraculous things that's going to happen to us in our life are things that we can't control and don't know the end result of. And we don't even have to accept it. We can go into these things fighting and screaming and kicking and arguing the entire way with ourselves in reality, but we're still being delivered down this track of entropy towards an endpoint. I don't think I like these brittle bits. Those don't feel good. I'm gonna get rid of those. I know I spent some time on them, but I had to explore that space. That doesn't feel like the right language for the perfect order. I do like this. I like the sweep here on the end, but I don't like all these jiggity jags. I need to get rid of those. It just doesn't feel right. It was a fun little experiment, but it really was just experimenting. So those got to go. Like these don't have to be ornate. The Eye of Mabar is literally just an iron. It's like an adamantine ball with the symbol of Mabar carved into it. And that's all it is. Super simple, incredibly dangerous. Yeah, it do be that way. Life is ridiculous. I'm thankful that I got turned on to the absurdity of life so quickly when I was young, so that I wouldn't have to take it so personally. I still get caught up in it. That's emotional experiences that we endure. Getting lost in the moment and forgetting how much of a ride or a dream it is. But that's part of the process of discovery, of enjoying the ride that our soul has somehow paid for, or paying penance with, I guess. I'm pretty convinced that we're all choosing to be here, and that the experiences we have as a collective is an opportunity for us as a species to evolve, emotionally evolve, outside of monkey tribalism. Yeah, it feels getting deep this morning. Well, I'm exhausted. It's been 2 days since I've gotten good sleep, and a bunch of toxins dumped out of my body last night. So sometimes when I'm well rested, I yammer. Sometimes I yammer when I'm exhausted. When I yammer when I'm exhausted, these are the kind of things that pour out of me. Most of my life is spent trying to keep a lid on how God-smacked I am by what reality is. Because if I allow myself to just relax and open up to it, I can't hold a job. Because I'll get up and wander off and go someplace for a few miles and not care about the consequences because it's what the muse told me to do. Like that's when I'm like really in it. And the irony is that I feel more alive than any other time in my life when I'm following these intuitions without any promise of anything. It's like I surrender my free will and just go and do and witness whatever it is that I run across. That's why I'm here. Whoever I talk to, that's who I'm supposed to be talking to. And I'm thankful that I was raised with circumstances that has me trying to find the good in people. So when these events happen, I'm often thinking I'm here to either help somebody or to help someone witness something that they needed help witnessing, that they don't have to be alone to endure. But it's hard to hold a day job when you get lost in that ether. So I can always feel it calling to me, but at the same time I have to quell it a little bit. Like I can't disassociate from reality today. I've got work. I've got a report I got to get done. I can't afford to exit humanity for the next 3 hours. Thank you. So days like this or weeks like this, when the muse catches up to me, I lose sleep. It's the only time she can really capture my attention. A lot of times I'll be offered, you can go to sleep now if you want, and I'm like, but if I go to sleep I can't witness what I'm here to do. And they're like, okay, you can stay awake, and they'll keep me awake, and I will suffer the most exquisite pain. And it's always delivered with a message of, because you're willing to endure this pain, no one else ever will. This is for you and you alone. No one can suffer like this. And it's like we're scratching something off the list of something horrible that could happen to somebody else. And it's a very martyr sort of syndrome. I recognize that. And it might not be fully sane, but it keeps lining up with my reality experiences that these things are true. If I'm willing to be brave enough to face them. And I've never been asked to do anything that wasn't just to help other people. I normally just end up someplace where I can just be the witness. Like, did somebody see that? Yeah, I saw that. Ironically, because I'm so fucking blind. But yeah, I got you. I saw that. Yeah, you're not crazy. That actually happened. And like, sometimes that might be the only thing that somebody needs to hear. And it's like, oh, well, the dream disappeared. And now it's time for me to go back to work. And I'll wander back. Anyway, I acknowledge I'm hardcore rambling today. But it is what it is. Hey, Francois. Yeah, I'm going to leave that be. And this feels pretty good. It's not like I don't get angry, or I don't feel disappointed, or I don't feel betrayed, or I don't feel terrified at things. But there, at the same time, there's if I can pull out of the terror just a smidge, I can kind of like look over myself, like lift out of it and look at what's happening, and recognize this is part of the equation. This is a thing that's happening for a reason. And then I can relax and just let it ride. It's like, this isn't going to kill me. I'm here to witness this. This is not my death event. I'm half convinced when I got hit by that truck, my soul got swept out for somebody else. It's like somebody tagged in. Because I've never felt the same afterwards. I felt a lot more aware than I was growing up. It's weird. That feels pretty good. see some of that base. There's that. Okay, so this is one layer here. I'm going to take this, duplicate it, and we're going to mirror it to see how well the silhouette lines up right now. Free transform, flip horizontal. I gotta say, normally I would stream on Tuesdays at lunchtime. My gut is telling me that I won't. So if I happen to have the opportunity to do so, I will happily jump online and do stuff accordingly. But just my heart is telling me that I'm going to get caught up in stuff that I need to get done at work, and I'll be absent. So that makes me sad. But I have to acknowledge where I'm at. So I am acknowledging that's where I'm at, and that symmetry is not so bad. So that lined up down here, that's good. Let's duplicate this layer again. Free transform, flip horizontal, and I'm using this circle here as my center point because that's easy to line up. But now I can see, yeah, the base down here is lining up well, and the angle is correct. Let's do it like this. Just like that. We're having some Ivers. You're not here with us. Ivers! Best Super Bowl commercial ever, man. So funny. I'm gonna get rid of that lump. I don't like that one. If I'm not streaming at lunch, it means I'm not taking a lunch. Like if I'm so busy that I can't afford to take a break, then I definitely can't afford to stream. If I get ahead of my work day, and it's the busy season. This is getting to be. I work in political advocacy campaigns in a marketing company. Also do a lot of charity stuff, like we have a lot of charity clients, so it's the season around here of both politics and nonprofit organizations getting hyperactive. So I am crazy busy working out all sorts of whatever needs to be worked out. I won't bore you with the details of my day life. Let's keep the fantasy that I am a game designer, and that I don't exist outside of this space. I wish that were true. Alas, earwax. It is not the fate that has been handed to me. Maybe it will be my fate someday, but I'm really trying to get into the groove of laissez-faire, come what may. Hakuna Matata. If I'm supposed to be an artist for a living, then I will end up being an artist for a living. I did that for a little while in my 20s, but I've talked about like the global, the coincidence between broadband internet access becoming a global thing, along with self-publishing causing the independent RPG scene to explode. There was a short period of time there that I was able to have a full-time income producing artwork for books. It was a very, very brief window, and it wasn't. It only took a couple of years for color printing to become easily accessible, and at that point, I started losing out in the market against people in Asia and Europe that had a lower standard, had a lower cost of living than I. Same standard, just lower cost of living. America's expensive, man. and I can't compete against people with the same level of skill, the same internet access, the same programs, and the same drive that only need a third of what I make to be able to take care of their family. And it's like I can either move there and compete with them directly, or I switch gears and do something else. So that's kind of what got me into making books in the first place. Is I can't get paid what I want to get paid to make the kind of art that I want to make. But if I put the kind of art that I want to make into books that I make and then sell the books, if the books do well, I'll end up getting paid well for the artwork as a collateral benefit. So I make books now and I illustrate them as part of the process of making the book, and to be able to yammer about it for hundreds of hours here on screen. Like once this book publishes, I'm sure folks, since they're all free preview anyway, I'm sure folks go and check out my books that are down below. You know, I talk about this stuff all day, and hey, here's a bunch of books that I made. You can look at them for free. Like I'm convinced that is the way that I'm supposed to operate, and I could probably figure out a way to monetize better and try to make a business out of it. But then I'd be making a business out of my art, and that's I don't want that. When I did that, I was stressing out over producing art. How are you supposed to make good art if you're stressing out over it? It just that doesn't make sense. So after that experience, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do artwork, I'm not going to make a business out of doing artwork. I'm going to just let it happen. And if I happen to be able to build a life that allows me to do artwork, it doesn't necessarily have to be that I'm doing artwork all the time. Like the day job that I have allows me to jump online and fuck around for a few hours at lunch, you know? Like that's not bad. As long as I do good work and get my stuff done, it doesn't really matter when I do it. I just got to get it done. You know, meetings aside. But then the global pandemic made me a remote worker. So again, the universe is handing me these opportunities. It's not me to look for how is this wrong or how can I expand on this. It's just like, let's just enjoy what's in our hands. Let's just enjoy the opportunity that I've already been given. Just let that ride for a while. So anyway, yeah, super philosophy with Phil today. Don't mind me. I'm in the thick of it, but again, I'm exhausted. So this is where I go when I get exhausted. And I'd honestly rather talk about this stuff than skip a day. But yesterday I had to skip because I was just I literally had nothing. I got like 2 hours of sleep, and that was after I pushed my alarm till 8 o'clock. But it was enough to get me through the day, so it was the right thing to do. Pretty nitpicky here. Phil is a Fed running a D&D honey trap to record our weird comments in chat. That's right. He knows too much. Headcanon approved. In my years of wisdom, I have learned not to interrupt somebody when they are complimenting you. And I will take that honey trap comment as a compliment. So far, so good. So what? There, and let's duplicate this layer and free transform, flip horizontal, line it up. Very simple. Feels pretty good. Let's do this. Is it the right size? Yeah. Nah, I think I like that. This feels very simple, though. I don't think that's necessarily a problem, though. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. We're gonna finish the basic on here, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Let's do this. You know what? Actually, self-reference. Let's go. Let's duplicate this layer here. If we transform, flip horizontal, line that up. Let's merge that down. Let's reduce its size. Here, like that. There you go, Kearney. Good shot. Transform. Flip horizontal. Not bad. Copy paste, free transform. Flip horizontal. interesting that that doesn't pan out properly. Clever girl. Transform, let's... Nice. All right, let's take this same thing here, copy paste, and then free transform and reduce its size. Not bad. Not bad. I want to replace these with chains. I'm gonna merge these down here for now. We'll make little circlets. Yeah, no complaint. Merge down. I love the tools. The editing tools that are inside of Photoshop. They're just so good. Let's carve that up a little bit here. What time is it? Holy shit, 7:40. Oh, 7:48. Okay. What happened to my alarm? It stopped. Okay. Yeah, 7:48. I got 10 minutes. So let's kill that. Let's put 10 minutes on my timer. For some reason, my timer stopped instead of go. I'm gonna make it 8 minutes. We'll give ourselves 8 minutes. We'll be done with this in 8 minutes. And then when we come back tomorrow, we'll work on the next piece. So we're just doing some light sketching right now for the different artifacts. Make sure everybody lines up properly. But yeah, I wanna replace this with chain. So let's see if I can create some cool chains. So, recording, I kill all their babies, missing content. Like, come join me on Discord so I can record your voice for deepfake panels. That's just like, that's the 3 types of wrong. Yeah, I like that. Wait. Merge that down. What happens if I duplicate and then flip? Could be more delicate. There. That's the way to do it. Better. Good. That, and that. Nubs. Now we're back to the chain. Cool. Now we have our chain connector point here. We need to reconfigure our positioning. Go from that dot to that dot. Copy paste, retransform. That's centered up. There is an argument about making a third point. Nah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Only 3 what? What are we talking about? Thank you. I know I said that. Yeah, only 3 kinds. I don't know them by name. There we go, not bad. I got quiet. I must be concentrating. I'm sorry. I have to concentrate sometimes. I shouldn't have to concentrate on chains, but I guess I do. I think I just ran out of energy. I can even hear my coffee pot sighing at me. He's like, "What are you doing, dude?" Let's fix that. What's up? Assumptions, presumptions, and suspicions. Nice. That's awesome. All right. Let's this chain isn't quite complete, but let's do that, and then do that. And here. It's not bad. Duplicate the layer, free transform, flip horizontal. Duplicate. Free transform, flip horizontal, there. That's a scale. Scooch that over just a smidge. That's good enough. It's good enough for now. We can come back and we can work on the color later. But we're going to go ahead and pause on that one, and then when we come back, we're going to work on this Carillion, and we'll just keep moving through the pieces. So 1 today, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 2 weeks from now, we'll probably have all of these artifacts done in the line art, and then we'll come back through and we'll colorize all of them, and then we'll be done with this page and we'll move on to the next stuff. And by then I might actually have all my page layouts done. I only got 15 pages left in the adventure, and that includes 9 pages worth of monsters. So like figuring out monster stat blocks and stuff like that, I'll be going through that process. But so I actually only have about 7 pages of actual adventure to resolve, and then I've got the monsters to resolve. So we're coming along really, really nicely. I might have the actual adventure resolved by the time we finish these artifacts, and then it'll just be all artwork all the time with it. So that's it for now, guys. I'm out of here. I don't guarantee I'll be back for lunch. I would love to be, but my gut is telling me I won't, so I'm not promising that to disappoint. If I can jump on, I will. Maybe it'll just be like at 4 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock. Who knows? Well, we'll see. We'll see where life takes me. But that's it for now. Thanks all for hanging out with me, guys. I really appreciate you. Anyone else that's out there in the nether with me here, like, subscribe, bell icon. I'm here at least 7 times per week, typically. So I'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot.